Hey there! I'm Chroma, and welcome to part 24 of Making an Abstract Adventure! Welcome back! Things are different yet again. So I've taken a step back from the last episode, as I said I would, and sort of was reassessing a lot of the core gameplay stuff, trying to improve it in some way, shape, or form. There was a lot of problems that we were facing that I mentioned in the last episode, so I was sort of trying out different ideas to sort of alter the gameplay a bit to make it more fun and sort of fix some of the minor problems that we were having. Anyways, I then stumbled across an idea, something that seemed kind of a cool idea for sort of puzzly direction mabob that I could take this game, and then I went full throttle in it, and that turned into what you're looking at right now. So I'm gonna just start off by going on into it and showing off what we are looking at today. So waiting a second for the UI to go away. We're not doing anything with that just yet. That's still kind of remnants of stuff we had before. But yeah, you'll notice everything looks a lot different. One big thing is that I changed the camera into being orthographic. I think it just works better. It looks a bit more stylized. A lot of the colors of the things that you're seeing are all temporary, like this magenta, yellow, and the green. That's all just temporary, just to test some ideas of and explain things that you're about to see. Yeah, you'll also notice that we have the bit of this split screen thing going on. So we have this top area and we have this bottom area, and yeah, clicking is switching between them. So what I've gone and done now is trying to think of how I'm going to explain this in terms of what we had before. So like before, we still have the kind of gameplay where you have two characters and you switch between them and they have different abilities. I've gone and finally actually made the two different characters feel a lot more different and leaned more into their having different abilities, and one being a box and one being a circle, sphere, whatever you want to call it, ball, whatever. Yeah, and then I've also, before I said it was a problem, sort of how I was having both of them traverse the same areas. I've now sort of made it kind of so that they are now actually going through different areas. Sort of. Hopefully I'll be able to explain this in a way that makes sense. Okay, enough talking. I'm going to actually I'm going to still be talking, but I'm going to be actually going through and showing off what we have here. So the main premise of what I've cooked up here is that you have these two characters. First of all, they can move around and you can see how they kind of feel different. The box is a lot heavier and falls with more force. The ball character is a bit slidey a little bit and hopefully feels more ball-like, I guess. Yeah, so now the main premise here is, so we have these green platforms. You'll notice that they're both these characters are seeing the same thing. It's two different cameras that are following both of them, rather than it being one camera that like swooshes between the two of them. So the main thing is here, on the top screen, we can see this environment, and we can see that there's this yellow platform here that is in the bottom view, except it's more transparent here, but then this one's completely solid. So we can walk on this, but we go straight through the yellow platform here. Meanwhile, on the bottom screen, the yellow is not transparent, but then the cyan platform is, or magenta, whatever. Yeah, so the magenta platform is, or pink, I guess, is more see-through, and then the yellow platform is not. So the premise that I've come up with here is that we can turn our game more into like a puzzle game, where the gimmick is that you have these two characters going through the same area, except there's some environment things that only one character can interact with and some that only the other character can interact with, and then you have to like work together to get somewhere or to do the different puzzle-y things. So here we have a gap here, and we have our jump. Our jump is basically just wide enough to go across this. Another thing that I did before, when I was making the jumping and the movement and all that, I was finding just like values that felt good or whatever. Now here I finally fine-tune the values so that it's more of a like I made the cube can jump like 10 units, and then the sphere can like double jump 10 units, and I did it more like that and fine-tuned the values so that they both felt good and matched approximate like unit values like that. So it'll hopefully be easier to build levels and stuff around as well. Speaking of jumping, sort of, I've also made it so that now only the ball character can double jump. The cube character can only single jump. However, we have a wall here, and this is a green wall that they both hit. The cube still has the wall jumping that we had before. So the cube character can wall jump, but the sphere character can double jump. So that's sort of the trade-off there. And now at the top of this area here, we have a button. So if I go and press that, I brought back both the button functionality and the moving platforms. So yeah, this goes and activates this green platform as a moving platform so that it rises up. And now the ball character can continue onwards. Now we have some new things that we can interact with. So first of all, we have these gray block things that are transparent, but in fact, if I, with the cube character, he can drop down. Yeah, it's actually transparent for both characters. So both characters go through it. So that's the thing. However, this blue thing is actually a block that can be pushed, and it can actually be pushed by both characters because both characters can see it, but it gets stopped by this, the transparent gray block thing here. So this can be pushed back and forth by both characters. Ta-da. And it actually like can push the other character a bit. So that's something. So now, level-wise, with this little test level that I've made, both characters can like use the block to push it so that they can both jump up here. Ta-da. So now we have a section, again, where the yellow character can't go forward because of this purple or pink, whatever, platforms. So yeah, that's a thing. So now we have this wall here that's kind of like the green things in that both characters hit it. Even the ball character would hit it if he could get over there. But now I'm introducing some other abilities. So back with what we had before, I would say I kind of overdid it in terms of the number of abilities that each character has. Yeah, it was kind of just making too many abilities. As I said before, I want this to be more user-friendly, so I kind of got a bit out of hand. It was more so just kind of making things for the videos of, hey, we're going to make this thing that the character can do, and here we can make this thing that the character can do, kind of just for a video's sake of borderline tutorial stuff. But anyways, yeah, so I've dialed it back, and now both of these characters only have one ability. The cube character, if I right click, can do this air dash kind of thing, which, oh, I kind of showed that off before I meant to. The cube character can dash through that like destructible surface, and then it's no more. So that's a thing there. And then there's another block here that we can push. So now the ball character can then, as a kind of a puzzle style, can like jump across like so to this yellow area. So, but what I was just trying to say before, the magenta cube character can dash, similar to how we had the lunge slash before. It's similar kind of code there. Actually, no, that's not true at all. I actually did make this in a very different manner. Yeah, so now we have our ball character here, and now the ball character's ability, we have this thing on the floor instead of a wall, is that we can ground pound. So we like pause in the air for a second, and then we smash towards the ground. I called it a slam just so it was one word, so it matched with like the dash, I guess. Yeah, so then the ball character should be able to Shazam, just smash through the platform there. He also, when he breaks something, he'll like keep going. Same thing that I kind of meant to show with this character. If when you dash through something that's destructible, you'll keep going. You don't just hit off it. Yeah, so now both characters can drop down here, and ta-da, we've reached the end of the test level, and we're gonna fall off, and we still have the same dying and respawning code that we had before. Ta-da! So yeah, that is basically this test level, and it's kind of the gameplay ideas that I've cooked up of how we're gonna kind of change this game. I don't know how much story stuff we're gonna be ditching just yet. One thing I have gone and done is the entire project of what we had before. That still exists. I've duplicated the entire project on my computer. So if we want to roll back to some extent or grab something from the olden days of the last episode of this game dev series thing, we can go and like that still exists, I guess. I do also still have the these scenes that exist from the rooftop area and the factory area, and I can try and run them, but they don't. They kind of broke a bit. Although one thing though is that this does kind of look cool on the top view. The bottom view, not so much. But and there's also this does not have the UI stuff that the other level had. Now, eventually, I think we can actually make this kind of work in that temp scene, or in the like the testing thing that we just saw and went through. Everything was just like the solid colors. That's not necessarily what I want to go with. I was just testing purely gameplay stuff. Trying to just make it better and work. Oh, also the characters here are bumping into each other because they are on the same plane. I'm thinking that art-wise, we could try to go back for this kind of style where I do still have like the low poly stuff in the distance and all that kind of stuff. I have to be mindful of the colors now though in the background because like for example, both this is gray and this arm thing is gray, and that creates problems. Yeah. Also, both these characters can't beat these levels anymore because of how I've change the jumping. Oh, they actually, okay, they can make that gap, but over here we're about to, yeah, there's problems, but, and then I can't make that gliding distance. Anyways, yeah, so I'm hoping to eventually maybe return to this kind of art style, sort of, but with this new, oh yeah, then I'm getting errors because of, yeah, these things aren't meant to exist. Also, I still have this very old prototype of back when the game was completely 2D, so that still exists. I'll delete them one day once I don't know, at some point. Anyways, yeah, so now all that's said and done, I've been rambling for a while. Let me now get into the actual what I've actually done in a Unity standpoint and like programming wise. So I have this itinerary here that I said that I'm now going to do of the order that we're going through things. So we've done our demo playthrough. Now, how this scene is actually set up. So what the actual illusion is being broken by our scene view of how we're doing this. I don't even know how to describe this. How we're doing being able to have some characters interact with different types of platforms is this. So the scene is actually 3D. So we're still, even though this is orthographic, we're kind of bringing back some of the 2D elements that we had before, which I think this kind of looks more aesthetically pleasing and looks more, maybe less amateurish. Eventually, once we have more, not just colored blocks, I guess, hopefully. Anyways, yeah, so this scene is an actual 3D thing where both the characters exist and are kind of going along their own paths, heading forward. Yeah, like the wall jumping off here, hitting this, it brings up the green wall. The green wall, all the green stuff is stuff that just stretches across both. The single things are on both characters' sides. Things like this block, the gray stuff, that's just in the middle. The block, when it's getting pushed, it's hitting things on any part of the two areas. This brown wall, that's on both sides, and this is on both sides. So it looks interesting from this view, but yeah, that's the magic behind that. As well, there's this glass, so a giant like thing that's kind of going in between that is transparent, because that is allowing the stuff in the distance to be faded. In fact, I might, because I do want it to be clear of what you can interact with and what you can't. So I might make it like more transparent, but I just want to be careful, I guess. For now, I'm just going to leave it like this. I imagine once I start having more art, like not just placeholder art in here, that'll be when I fine tune how clear the glass is. As well, the background is just a black colored skybox thing. Actual levels, depending on what art stuff we do, might have actual colors, and then we'll see how that plays into things. Anyway, so right now I just have it disabled because I actually have a temporary object here just to make it easier to work with in the scene view. Also, the canvas exists like that. Right now, both of those are disabled, so I can more easily interact with things in the scene. And then I have this temporary object here called temp activate objects. That is just a script that as soon as we start the game, it activates all of those. Yeah, and then this is also the UI stuff, the glass, and then the canvas itself. So yeah, that is just so we can have all that stuff disabled while I'm working on stuff in the editor, and then when I start the game, it actually goes and make those work how they should. Anywho, so I guess I can open up the script of that. Yeah, so this is just an array of objects to activate, and then on awake, it goes through each one and activates it. Simple enough. Yeah. All right. So now the camera. I actually have an interesting thing of how I've gone and done that. So I have two cameras here, as you saw, that are both in this like split screen view. And I did try having like the two cameras at the side where like actually I could kind of set up like this where like one camera here and one camera's here. I just found that the top and down style works better, especially for just going to the side. You get more of you can see more, I guess. As well, I kind of pulled the camera back further. I also went back to it being orthographic. Although I still have to change that in the code here because this is still using the zoom of the perspective way of how the camera was. Anyway, yeah, that stuff I'll have to change in due time. But anyway, so now we have two cameras here. One that's called cube camera and then sphere camera, and they're under an object called dual camera, just so I can have that be one prefab. As well, the player change script is now on this parent game object. And then both of these cameras just have the camera follow. Oh yeah, there is also some post-processing effects. Or is there? I don't know if that's actually... anyways, whatever. That's more visual fluff that we're not getting into right now. We're mainly focusing on gameplay stuff right now. So, the two cameras, there's the top one and the bottom one. How they're actually placed in the Unity scene is we actually have one here that's facing this way, and then we have one here that's facing this way. So that is how... yeah, that is being done. So then when we have the glass in the middle... I'll use this camera as an example. So this camera is facing this way. You can see the cube and the green platform and the magenta platform. Then through the glass on the other side is this player and the yellow platform that is making stuff on this side be all transparent. And then the exact inverse is true for this stuff. And then also with how wide the glass is, this gray platform here is just kind of in the middle of the glass. So it's transparent no matter what side you're looking at it from. Yeah. So now one thing you might be asking is if the camera's on this side, how come they both are seeing the same thing if it's flipped? Well, that is because, dear viewer, I don't know why I'm talking like that. Okay, whatever. Anyways, I made a script called Camera Flip that is actually running in the editor, and this is how the cameras would look normally. It's taking everything this bottom camera is seeing and flipping it. And I guess I'll go into this code. Now, I guess being completely clear on things that I've done, this is actually something that I just copied directly from a Google search, so yeah, I guess I'm just being clear on that. I understand basically how this works, but I did not write all this code myself. But it works, and I'm not going to mess with it too much because it was a quick thing to get the result that I was looking for. It also, with this line at the top, it runs in edit mode, so yeah, because I just wanted the flip to also be in effect while I was, while I'm actually working on the game in edit mode. Anywho, yeah, so that is how that is done. Now, with the characters themselves now, I guess that's what I'm going into next. Yeah, so movement, but I want to talk about one small thing with the characters before I do the movement stuff. So with the actual characters, I've removed a lot of the scripts here that, with a lot of the abilities that we made that we aren't using, and I've deleted a lot of scripts. But again, if we want to bring some of that stuff back, we can. And unfortunately, yeah, we made a lot of things that we're not using, but that's just how it be in the game dev business when you don't plan things properly, unfortunately. Yeah, and I still have the videos that I made on them, so I at least got something out of making that functionality of, what else? Yeah, what was it? Like the reflect, the lineup stuff, the throwing the shuriken, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's all gone now. We're simplifying things a lot more just to keep things, yeah, on the simpler side, and then hopefully through the stuff that we're interacting with in the level, we'll have a lot more substance in that. Anywho, so on our characters here, we still have, yeah, Q and Cal. On our ball character, where was, I forget. Oh yeah, because the ball character is still like facing this way. So when he's moving, how did I do the, okay, so I'm trying to figure out how I did the inverted movement, because the ball character, no, yeah, okay, never mind, sorry. From the front view, the ball character is still moving like this way, I think. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, they're still moving that way, so when we're hitting like A and D, it's still moving that way in terms of the camera stuff. Anyways, yeah, so a lot of these scripts are, I think, similar, but a lot of values are more fine-tuned, and they're actually more different between the two characters, so they actually feel more so different. So, for example, on our cube character, we have, like, the speed is, like, 40, while on the Cal, it's 50. Wait. Yeah, on one it's 40, on one it's 50. Okay, I don't need to explain all these values. You can see how a lot of them are different. As well, a bit of a spoiler, not a spoiler, breaking more of the illusion. Our sphere character isn't actually a sphere. It's more of a cylinder because it just looked better from the orthographic angle, as well as the rotation smoothing is 0, so that, I guess, okay, if I go back into play mode, when the two characters switch sides, our cube character actually, like, turns, but the ball character doesn't, so yeah, that's just something that I wanted to do. It just looked better, I guess. Yeah, so that is that. So then the rotation smoothing is 0 on Cal. Next, the jumping. You can just see what these values are, and just how they're different between the two characters. So that the cube character jumps higher and falls faster, but the ball character is a little more floaty, but doesn't jump as high, and then can double jump as well. We have the ground check, that's the same. The player health, I don't think anything changed with that. Actually, yeah, there's nothing in here that does damage other than the kill floor that just instantly kills you. The square wall jump, those numbers are slightly different. And then, I think next is going into we're going into the UI. Okay, yeah, let's do that. It would be better to just do things in the order of what's important, I guess, because the abilities are more fluff stuff that I can cover later. So the actual UI here, we have, so under this canvas, we have this active cam UI, that is this. And then we have the cube active part of it. That's this magenta-y pink sort of stuff. And then we have this yellow part of it that is the sphere active part of it. So what this actually looks like is, if I expand this, we have the borders that are just a bunch of solid color images just going around the four sides of the screen, and then a giant image that is transparent, sort of covering the bottom side. This is just to help tell sort of who you're currently controlling. That seemed to work just fine, I guess. Yeah, basically that's all there is to it. So yeah, so that is that. So then on the active cam UI, no. On the dual camera, yes. On the dual camera UI, it has a reference to both of those screen active types, and then it sets active which one is true based on which character you're currently controlling. And then also this thing can set which character we start as. And then it also has a references to the child objects of its two cameras. Yeah. Next, we're going into... I completely missed the wall jump and double jump. No, I kind of covered that. All that we've already done the programming of the double and wall jump to make our characters more different. I made it so that only the cube character can wall jump, and then only the sphere character can double jump. That's all I have to say on that. We already looked at that code also in the last episode. Yeah, so then in UI and player change, yeah. So let me go and have a look at the script so we can see what it looks like. I think we did the player change stuff a while ago, but I did have to change some things to make the UI with the who is active. But most of this, yeah, we did look at in our last episode. I also did change what the camera does, because the camera, before we had one camera that just is following either one character or the other. In this case, we have the two cameras, so I got rid of that code for changing who the camera is following. Yeah, I also made the button for this left click for now. That could change. I kind of changed up some of the controls. So now the only buttons that are actually being used are the WASD keys, but okay, actually just A and D, and then left mouse, right mouse, and then escape to pause, and space to jump. Right now, those are the only buttons. Yeah. I also didn't mention I got rid of attacking. I think, yeah, I don't think I'm really going to have attacking. We might still have enemies, but then I think we can have more puzzly aspects to this, rather than just attacking stuff that comes at you. You have the Q character that can do the air dash, to dash like through an enemy that can't be hurt from like the top or something, and then the ball character can like do the ground pound thing, so then that could hit an enemy that has like spikes on the front and back, and you have to hit it from above or something. So I feel like we can just have more puzzly stuff from that. Yeah, so that's why I got rid of the attacking. That is basically that. So next, buttons. So we did cover buttons several episodes ago. I'm just also going to turn off our canvas and scroll back in here. So we have our button. I've 3D-ified it because we are still technically working in 3D, even though things look a lot more 2D now. Kind of like how it did several episodes ago. Yeah, anyways, so the button looks the same as it did before. The only difference is the sprites that were there before, I replaced them for cubes of the same colors. Basically, that's all there is to it. And then it's this moving platform here that, yeah, is using the moving platform code that we made eons ago. That was, actually, I don't know how many episodes ago. I don't remember what episodes I did what in, but that was, yeah, quite a long time ago. Anywho, so now we have that as well. Next, the blocks. Yeah, so these blocks are just things that have rigid bodies on them. They can't rotate because I didn't want them to actually like spin, just stuff that moves back and forth. And then making sure they can't move on this axis because they shouldn't. Maybe we might have some puzzly things where if I made this a lot thinner, maybe that's not thinner, thinner. There we go. Maybe this could be something that only exists like on this side, and then you hit a button and then it moves to this side, so then the other character gets access to it, stuff like that. I feel like this can open an avenue for a lot of puzzly things of, depending on what stuff is on what sides, getting a character to certain locations, stuff like that. Yeah, that stuff I'll talk about more later on near the end of this episode. I've also, to make it fall faster, I added a script called Gravity Multiplier that does exactly what it sounds like. It just takes the rigid body, and every frame it just makes the player, or makes the whatever it's attached to fall more. Yeah, that's all there is to that. Because that just, because I increased the drag of it to have it, when it gets pushed, it stops quite fast. And then also has a lot of mass, so it doesn't get pushed as easily, basically. And then, yeah, it falls faster with the high gravity multiplier. Basically, yeah, that's all there is to that. Next, oh yeah, and then also there's these blocks, the gray blocks. I'm gonna need to come up with names for these. Right now they just don't have really names other than just what their color is. So the block will hit the gray one when it's getting pushed, which stops it from going beyond certain boundaries. I might potentially, if I need to, make some sort of way of, if a block like falls off the edge and then or if it's put somewhere where it can't be touched anymore, making it so that you can somehow get it to respawn. Maybe I'll figure that out more when we start making more puzzles with this idea, because I don't know if I necessarily want it to always be like it's between two areas, because that might remove some of the puzzliness of it. Or maybe I'll keep it like that, because I could also have a thing where it could be up here and you have to, with one character, get all the way up here and then push the block down so the other character can get up. That's an idea there. Anyways, that is how the block exists, I guess. So then onto the cube dash, which also leads me into what this thing is. So first of all, this dash block, it has the collider of like itself, what's around the brown thing, so that you can't go through it. And then it also has a trigger collider kind of going slightly more around it, so that when the cube is doing the air dash thing, if it enters this trigger collider, it'll destroy this block, so that yeah, we don't actually collide with it physically, so the cube can just keep going through it. That's the idea there. Yeah, this also has the gravity multiplier, but it shouldn't. Oh, and it has the rigid body. Oh, yeah, I think I copied the block to make this, so this was an accident to make. No, wait, or I don't remember. I think it might have the rigid body so that the collision goes through. I forget. Anyways, yeah, this is just what it looks like, and it works. So it should not have used gravity, though. Does this one have used gravity? It does, but they both shouldn't, because that also is freezing the rotations. And it's kinematic, so that doesn't even matter. Anywho, so it has the collider. This one's also the same. It has the collider of itself, and then it has the other collider that's a trigger. It has the gravity multiplier, but it shouldn't. I could make some debris that falls, I suppose. But right now, this debris, this one has the tag dash, and this one has the tag slam. I called it slam instead of ground pound just because it was only one word, and just to keep the number of letters smaller, I suppose. Just, yeah. Anywho, so now on the actual players themselves, we can look at the code that makes both of those abilities work. So square dash, we have 3 abilities here, dash distance, dash time, and then speed multiplier. Let's go into the script here. I've also changed a lot of the wording in a lot of these scripts to either, I removed the words Cal and Q, our characters' names, from a lot of the actual code in here, and try to just keep it as, well, okay, there is still some inconsistencies. All the code says square and circle, but then all the Unity side stuff says like cube and sphere. I might change that to make it more consistent at some point, but right now it's fine. It works. It's okay, I guess. Yeah, so we have these 3 variables that we just saw, as well as a bool for whether or not we're dashing, the move to spot that we'll look at in a second what that does, and then a reference to the square main and the player move scripts, and then the rigid body to actually do the force adding stuff. So then getting a reference to those things, and then skipping this for a minute, that we have this public void dash that is, it runs through where is the square main script? It's around here somewhere. Where are you? There. Okay, I was looking at it, but never mind. Okay, so we have the square main script that looks similar to how it was before, except I remove some things. Right now, all the swimming stuff, I didn't outright delete. It's all just commented out because currently swimming does not exist yet, but I might bring it back as a functionality, so I didn't just go and delete everything yet. Yeah, so it runs through this through this update function in the same way, or just every update here, it runs this dash code. Yeah, so then over here, it's going to run this. If we hit the right mouse button, then we do the dash thing. And the buttons could change. I just thought that like left click and right click might make it easier. Again, more user friendliness as opposed to like shift and control, or using like the right side of the keyboard in any way. But yeah, again, the buttons could change at any time. Now, if we hit the dash button, then we run this enumerator that we can dash. We disable the square main to disable like movement and jumping and all that kind of stuff while we do the dash. Set dashing to true to be able to set off if we like hit something that we can dash against. Then we set up this move to spot that is equal to our current position, but on the x-axis, which is the left-right way that we're moving, to this where we currently are plus this dash distance. So like basically where we are dashing to, like, which is a few units ahead of us. And then also taking into account our front direction to see whether we're going left or right. And then we are disabling gravity. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's basically it. So then while we are dashing here, because then we have this dash time of while we're dashing, I'm going to quickly go up here to update. While we are dashing, if dashing is true, our velocity, we're setting it to be going in the direction of that move to spot and then multiplying it by our speed multiplier. So this has the overall effect of we hit the button, we kind of, you saw what it did. Basically, we go flying in the direction of that move to spot, but then as we get close to it, we start moving slower and slower until we basically have hit that spot. So it's basically like a burst of speed that slowly slows down, but we don't fall at all because of the no use gravity thing. And then once we reach that spot, then we drop because the dash is over, basically. Then, so we wait this dash time, that is approximately how long the dash lasts, and then, yeah, we set use gravity to true, dashing is not true, and then square main, we re-enable that so that we can move and jump and all that stuff again. Yeah, so that's how we dash, and then in addition to that, we have this on trigger stay, that is if we are dashing and we hit something that has the trigger, or that has the tag dash, then we just, at the moment, we just disable that object. So like that brown, this brown thing here that we saw before, if we dash into it, it just goes away for now. Eventually we might have it have more of like an explosion-y animation, or not explosion, but like it depends on what we're dashing into. Like if it's like wood or something, have it look like it actually breaks, or if it's glass, like we're shattering through it or something. Who knows? Or maybe we could just have a more puzzly thing where it's like a pillar and you like dash into it at the top and then it like falls over and becomes a bridge. That'll depend on how we use it in our levels, I suppose. Yeah, so that is that. And then actually if I where is this one? Yes. Square dash here. And another thing I just wanted to address, I suppose, is that if we take our cube, jump across this gap, we can dash into stuff, but we don't like, go through it. I had to play with these numbers because if the dash, if the speed multiplier is too great when we go to dash through something, oh, that's great to know. I thought I had solved that. Yeah, for the most part, okay, that's unfortunate. But for the most part, we can't dash through things. It looks like I didn't completely solve that bug like I thought I had, but okay, that's something I'm gonna have to reassess. But yeah, I'm trying to have it so that we can't dash through an object. Unless we want that to be a thing. Maybe you can, and then that's part of some puzzly stuff. But I don't think so. That's something I'm gonna have to go about fixing. Anyways, so now let's have a look at the circle slam, which this has two variables here, air pause time and then slam speed. This one's kind of somewhat similar-ish. Yeah, so we have the same public variables and then very similar private variables. So if we are slamming the circle main, the player move script, the ground check, and then the rigid body. So then getting all those variables and then setting that to false by default. I'm gonna skip this for a second. We have the slam function that gets called in the exact same way as the circle main, so I don't really need to show it. Yeah, so then we have, if we hit the right mouse key, then we call this coroutine where we set circle main to false, use gravity to false, rigid body or the velocity to 0. So if we were moving, we're like in midair, we're making it so we stop moving. So like most games that have a ground pound kind of effect, we're making it so that we like pause in the air for a second and then slam into the ground. Just because it looks cooler, I guess. Yeah, so we are stopping for a second, we're pausing in the air, then we're setting slamming equals to true. Again, just setting the velocity to 0 just to make sure that this happens and we're going straight down. And in case there's some like outside forces, like if we have like wind pushing against us, if there's anything else that's making us not like, that makes this not 0 anymore, we're just setting it to 0 again, just to be on the safe side. And then, yeah, then we have a loop here. So slam is equal to true. And then I'm just going to quickly go back to update for a second, because now that it's true, this will start running. And then our actual slamming is happening by, we're taking our velocity and setting it equal to vector3.down times our slam speed times 10. Although if I'm doing that and we're going straight down, I guess I don't necessarily need this, but whatever. Anyways, yeah, so then we start just slamming downwards at a really fast speed. While that is happening, this while loop is going to keep playing. Yeah, so then we're going to have, I don't need this to be like this. I'm just realizing. Right now I had like while true, and then if player ground check is grounded, then break, so leave the while loop. I can just put this in here, and then while we are grounded, actually I can just do this. That's so much better. So while we're grounded, it's just does this yield return null So yeah, it'll just keep repeating the while loop in terms of the coroutine. So yeah, then once we become not grounded anymore, so we've hit something, then the rigid body user gravity is true, slamming is false, and then re-enable the circle main script. Yeah. Then over in the this on trigger stay function, which again is the exact same, then if we are slamming and we hit something with the tag slam, then the thing that we were in contact with gets deactivated, basically. And I did make sure to give, even though they're used in the same way, I gave this and this 2 different tags just so that you can't, because ideally the puzzle would be like, oh, the cube character can't get through this because the ball character needs to smash it. I just want to make sure that there's no bugs with being able to like air dash like above it and have it destroy this. So just to make sure, having them be 2 separate objects. Yeah, anyway, that is that. And then another thing, they're both on trigger stay functions, just so that in case the cube is like pressed up against this and then they air dash, they're already inside of this trigger, just to make sure that it works, I guess. Yeah, that is that. Next thing, we're almost done. So the destructibles, I already kind of covered that with the cube dash and sphere slam. Oh, and then the temp activate, I already covered that as well. So I did things kind of out of order, but that's okay. It was done in the order that made sense. So now that kind of brings us to the end of what has been made. Yeah, so going forward from here, so I did go ahead and I initially, with the game that we had before, I planned a lot of story stuff that, as I said, I don't know how much I'm going to cut or not. I would like to ideally keep a lot of it, but I think to be on the safer side, right now, I'm going to just focus on things from a purely gameplay perspective. So right now we have this test level here. I want to just make a few more puzzle elements, get more of an actual level that has an actual end to it or something. Because I haven't even decided what the goal is going to be, because that's something that can change now. Because it could be, right here, it's just like getting to the end of the level. But I think there's 3 main ideas that I could go with. Either one, there's an end level thing, and then both characters have to get to it, so it's like a portal or something. Both characters have to get to it, and then ta-da, the level's over. Or maybe only one character has to get to it, and then it ends the level or something. Or there's 2 separate portal thingies. One that's like the cube portal, one that's the sphere portal. They don't have to be portals, just some sort of end of level thingy. That then you have to get both characters to both of them. So kind of like Thomas is Alone, if anyone knows that game. But basically, yeah, having 2 endpoints that you have to get both characters to end the level. Or another idea that I had was that maybe in a level, it's not as like beginning to end as this is, and it's more kind of in a box, more exploratory area. And then there's a bunch of collectibles, and you have to get all of them to beat the level in any order. Then maybe I could try seeing if that would work. Maybe not. Maybe just end of the level would work better. Yeah, so for now, I really like where this is going. I feel like the game is now becoming more unique than it previously was, and I've just stumbled across a neat idea that I want to just play around more with and see what more things I can make. I don't really know what I'm going to do for next episode specifically, but I guess we're going to now start working towards planning more of a demo that for this style. But I definitely think this is where I want to go forward with this idea. Fine-tune a few things, I guess, but I think I'm really happy with how it's turning out so far, so I'm going to go forward with this. I do also want to just test how this could look with more actual art, because all this is temporary and it doesn't look the greatest, but it does have a certain charm to it, I guess, with the colors meaning certain things. But I would like to try and make more actual art in terms of an environment or something. Yeah, we'll see where we'll go. But I think I've also decided that the characters, for now, I'm going to just leave them being a cube and a sphere, but it's a cylinder, I guess, or a circle, a ball, whatever. Yeah, and I'm going to stick with that. I don't think I'm going to add faces to them. Well, we'll see. Yeah, anyways, so that is that. So right now I'm just stumbling about things and I don't know where I'm going, so I think I'm going to end things off here. Yeah. Oh, one thing I do want to just pitch as well before I go is I'm deciding on this. So the 2 colors of our characters here, we have like a magenta and a yellow. I don't know if I'm going to change those at all. Yeah, I did go and update the UI to match those colors. I don't even know what I'm going to do with these collectibles. Those are remnants of, again, things that existed before. And also this health, I don't know if we need that much health. I could just bump it down to like 3 and leave it at that. Or am I even gonna have health? I could also just have, if it is in a more puzzly style, just you get hit once and you die and then you respawn. I also don't know how big the levels are going to be. They could be really big levels, or I can make it more puzzle style where you have just a whole bunch of really short levels. Maybe, I don't know. But anyways, one thing I do want to just, I guess, pitch is with the colors, should I leave them how they are, or should I go and change them? Because right now I have like, yeah, yellow and magenta, get more of a pink color. I could go and, where is the post-processing thing? Oh yeah, I also did, with the lights, I did kind of just make some lights just going in both the directions, just to light up both sides, and then one just coming down just because. Even though technically it's not needed because it doesn't actually change anything, but then it does make the tops of everything look kind of darker, so I just kind of added it just so in the Unity scene it looks a bit better, it's easier to work with. In this post-processing stuff, all this, yeah, it's kind of disabled right now. I don't even know if that's active. Yeah, anyways. So one thing I did want to suggest, is this actually active right now? I don't know if it is. Let me go to my two cameras real quick. So post-processing, that's using, what? Oh, hold on, this is not using that. Okay, yeah, so anyways, why is this not working? I'm actually not sure. Anyways, I don't want to get into this right now, but, this color grading stuff, if I can go and, can I? Oh, okay, it is working, yeah. So I can actually, like, hue shift a lot of this to... Why can't I find... Okay, there. Sorry, I don't mean to be just fumbling around this much, but, yeah, so I can hue shift stuff to change these colors slightly. Yeah, we can see kind of what some different color choices would look like. I don't know if I could potentially go with a different two colors that I'm going between or whatnot. Or maybe in different levels you have different, contrasting colors, and then I don't know. There's different ideas that I could test of how I could go with this. I want to just undo back to how I just was. Yeah, so if you want to just pitch potential two color combinations that could work, yeah. Name-wise, I think I'm still going to try and call them Q and Cal, because I guess I don't really need to change them right now. I think I'm going to work more on gameplay stuff and then reshape the story to fit this new gameplay style. I might be able to bring back a lot of the story that I had planned before. I don't know. We will see. But anyways, I think that's where I'll leave things off here. So anyways, yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you around.